It's been a year since my last daylight saving time rant back in 2024, and unfortunately, despite some attempts to change things, we still have to do that stupid clock change every March where we have to go an hour forward from 1:59 to 3 a.m. this Sunday, March 9th, and then back from 1:59 a.m. to 1 a.m. on the first weekend in November. That's why I am doing this rant again, but this will be my last time I'll make a rant on daylight saving time. But I still have some more things to bring to the table based on my experiences. Since President Trump wants to get rid of daylight saving time, all I have to say is, why are we still doing the clock change instead of staying on standard time? When we change our clocks and spring forward during March, it causes anxiety and leads to heart attacks and car accidents due to daylight saving time happening. I know, because when I got anxiety last year on March 10th after the clock change, I tend to forget to turn the other way, and I was really close to the wall in the drive-thru at McDonald's, and I ended up in a minor automobile accident in my truck where I scraped the bumper trying to avoid it. Especially when I tried to back up and avoid a second time, and it was hard to turn around due to the anxiety I had. Thankfully, I didn't hit any cars, but when I backed up, it was kind of hard to avoid due to how close I was. This just proves that losing an hour of sleep causes anxiety, which leads to accidents that ruin your day and could get worse rather than increasing heart attacks. It didn't help that these people at McDonald's were being rude to me and my friend at the first window right before the accident happened. I was pissed off because I couldn't drive home and I had to switch seats with my mother because I had a permit and I didn't have my license yet, while she did. Good thing I didn't get in trouble since it was an accident. Thankfully, I never got into any minor accidents since then. There are also some politicians and other people who want permanent daylight saving time, where after the clock changes from 1:59 to 3 a.m. in March, we stay on daylight time and we don't change clocks in November and stay on standard time. Instead, we stay on daylight time. This isn't going to work, especially since people in the Week Club and others want permanent daylight saving to happen. Here are some reasons as to why permanent daylight saving time shouldn't happen. Permanent daylight saving time was enacted during the winter of 1974, when it was a year-round from 1974 to 1975, and we didn't go back to standard time during that year in the United States. But there were complaints of children going to school in the dark and working people commuting and starting their workday in pitch darkness during the winter. And this was repealed a year later in 1975. This was already tried back in the 1970s by then President Richard Nixon. And of course, like I said before, this was not a good idea because parents didn't like taking their children to school in the dark or having their kids walk to school in the dark. Despite modern technology being a thing nowadays, the sun will not rise until 9 a.m. during the winter, even if that means there will be 2 extra hours of sunlight in the evening. It was even more ridiculous when President George W. Bush signed a law that expanded daylight saving time from April to October to March to November, just so there would be extra daylight on Halloween during trick-or-treating. Even though I don't agree with trick-or-treating, they should have closed school early on Halloween or canceled school on Halloween just so there would be plenty of time in the day. And it's just as bad when you have to wake up early for school or work for about a month from March to April. The sun doesn't rise until later on at like 7. So if you go to work or school, you have to literally go to work or school or go to work or be at work when it's still dark outside. And that's pretty bad. The estimated deaths of people that die during the transition into daylight saving time can cost up to $275 million annually. This proves that the transition to daylight saving for any reason is a waste of money, especially since it doesn't save energy at all, and with accidents and medical bills costing a lot. Daylight saving is also bad for the television schedule, especially if you live in an area that doesn't do daylight saving at all, because depending on your time zone, your show could air at a different time, which proves that daylight saving hurts ratings for TV shows. A lot of places around the world does not do daylight saving time, such as most of Mexico outside of border areas, U.S. territories such as Puerto Rico, states such as Arizona and Hawaii, provinces in Canada such as Saskatchewan, and other countries such as Iceland, Japan, and some states in Australia do not do daylight saving, while some other states in Australia do. Besides, many places are getting rid of daylight saving time, as well as some places that don't have it, and they never had much problems compared to places that due to time change, which were the places that don't have it. that don't have daylight saving time. They don't have much problems at all. Some people seem to think daylight saving time is meant for the farmers, but that is not true. Most farmers actually advocate against daylight saving because it's bad for the animals because they're so used to a normal routine. Especially since, most animals don't care what time it is. And especially since they don't know what time is. Energy consumption actually increases higher during daylight saving time. Additional consumption is expected to increase more in the future, especially since when the eastern time zone parts of Indiana started daylight saving in 2006, energy rates increased by 1% during daylight saving. Adding more daylight in the evening and getting rid of daylight in the morning doesn't have much effect on crime. Year-round standard time is more preferred to be the better option for public health and safety. That's because there are better benefits to standard time for health than daylight time. Clock shifts are found to increase the risk of heart attacks by 10%, as well as disrupting sleep and reducing sleep efficiency. Who could we blame for starting this daylight saving crap? I wouldn't blame Benjamin Franklin, the founding father of the United States, for this, considering he considered doing something similar during this time in order to save candles and such, or changing people's sleep schedules, but it never happened as he didn't propose changing the clocks. We can trace the blame back to George Hudson of New Zealand, just so he can have more daylight to collect insects for his job, which is pretty ridiculous, and also the German General Kaiser Wilhelm during World War I. The Germans did help expand daylight saving time and made it more of a thing when World War I happened. Honestly, I hope they get rid of daylight saving time entirely by sticking to standard time like every other place that doesn't have daylight saving. Maybe the United States, Canada, and even the parts of Mexico near the border can stop doing the clock change, since the rest of Mexico, Arizona, Hawaii, and other places do not do daylight saving time. Only the Navajo Nation still does daylight saving in Arizona, and I hope they stop doing the clock change and join the rest of Arizona. Once we go back an hour in November and get an extra hour of sleep and go back to standard time, we should just stay in standard time and leave the clocks alone for good and stop changing the clocks because there are more benefits to standard time for health and sleep. I know because I get better sleep during standard time and I don't have insomnia during the standard time months. Let's hope President Trump can get rid of daylight saving time for good after this November for the rest of the United States, and we won't have to change our clocks again, and we can stay on standard time. That's why I created a petition on change.org to get rid of daylight saving time for good. The Sunshine Protection Act will never pass, and it would be a huge mistake to put the rest of the country on permanent daylight time when some places have permanent standard time. That's why with the Uniform Time Act, every state can change into permanent standard time, which is what Arizona and Hawaii already did. And some states like Nevada, Oregon, California, and even Washington in the Pacific time zone are thinking of going back to standard time and going to standard time year-round. At first, I used to hate that the sun would set early during the winter, but now I'm used to it because at least by spring, we get up to 2 hours of extra daylight without needing the time change in the evening. I know some people wouldn't like the sun rising at 4 a.m., but at least it would be good for people who have to wake up early for school or work, and they don't have to get up early in the dark. If you want to sleep in, just close your curtains and blinds. There is plenty of proof that clock changes are a contributing factor in heart attacks and anxiety, which leads to accidents, and they don't happen on purpose after the time change due to negligence. It actually does happen. Anyways, that's about all for my rant on daylight saving in 2025, and that's pretty much all that covers it. This has been Brick, and I'm out.